All right, I call the January 3rd, 2017 meeting of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District Committee to order at 5:15. If you take a roll call, Ms. Marcotte.
Councilmember Black?
Present.
Councilmember Trufant Salvant is absent. Councilmember Edgecombe?
Here.
Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Any old business? None. Item 3, new business. 3A.
Discussion of job description path forward for hiring replacement deputy director.
All right, so Sandy and I spoke a little bit about this. If you want to go ahead and elaborate on what you think this process should take place and what has happened in the past.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, and folks in the audience. I patterned the chronological order of events after what I went through when I came here. They advertised the position. I believe it was like 14 applied for it. They narrowed it down to 7, and 6 of us came for an interview. The court committee did the interview on a matrix provided questionnaire, so everyone got graded exactly the same, and they graded each one of them, and then they made their selection, and at that time the port chairman called me up and asked if I would come back and interview with the remaining 5 members on the board that obviously because of open laws could not be in. So that is how I patterned the chronological order of replacing the deputy board director. I have I'll provide y'all with the deputy port director's application criteria. It has a description of the job, which is updated from when John Pennison applied for it. I also have on the back of it, go straight to the back, I have the 2016 salary survey analysis done by the American Association of Port Authorities. This will give you a feel for what folks in that position are being paid. If you look at the bottom, you'll see deputy port directors. The average pay is $162K. I spoke with the chairman. We looked at starting this individual off at 120. And after his first 3 years, if things work out, we'll have a criteria for him to receive an enhanced pay and bring him more into market.
Let me just interject one real quick. So 160,000 is the regional average.
Correct, 162.
162 is the regional average. And what was Mr. Pennison's salary when he left?
When John left, he was at 98.
All right, and let the record reflect that the paper you passed out to us is what you and I have spoken about would be a reasonable salary, kind of a median of those two, which is 120,000, actually a little bit less than the median, but based on the needs of the port and the job description, we discussed that and wanted to bring that salary before this committee for discussion. So that's one of the items to be discussed as well, is the actual salary before we bring it before the council. I just want to ask any other committee members if they have any questions on that salary.
And this is flat salary with benefits?
That's correct, salary plus benefits.
Plus benefits,
And we'll provide y'all with that with the ordinance language. And also, this is the proposed timeline. As you can see, we will introduce the ordinance that reflects the updated job description and the base pay at the upcoming meeting. 2 weeks later, on 26 January, we'll vote for approval of the above. Immediately afterwards, we will begin the advertising process. And we'll do that through the AAPA website, the PAL, which is Port Association of Louisiana's website, and also through civil service. Civil service has agreed that they would assist in it, though that this is a job that would not go through civil service. We have an entire month, as you can see, from 27th January to 28th February, where we allow for submissions to come into the court. And then I am allowing an entire month, the entire month of March, that we will narrow down the submittals to be interviewed. We'll conduct the interviews, and we'll make recommendations to the full board through the court committee. Now, I gave that a full month. It might take 2 weeks. It may take longer, but I don't think it would take any longer than that. I think that's very manageable. But we might be able to tighten our timeline up during that time. The first meeting in April, we will introduce a resolution to enter into a contract by the board chairman and the selected deputy director. And the subsequent follow-on meeting 2 weeks later, the board would vote for approval of the selectee and his or her contract. And then the deputy director would start on 1 May. So a good long process. It sounds simple to do, but you do this right, you take the time to get the right guy in there. It's going to take a good 4 months.
So there's a couple questions we had for the committee. The first one was the actual hiring. There's a couple options. The first option is how Sandy spelled it out as far as the full committee members being the panel, with Sandy being the 5th person on the hiring review board. How did you guys get around the open meeting laws with that? I mean, when you hired Sandy, were you on the committee at the time, Joe?
I can,
Yeah, actually, we just went through we actually
The port
scored,
committee.
right, port committee.
and they rotated one of the port committee members staying out
Right.
during each interview.
We didn't have a total group each time. There's always shy.
So as long as you don't have the full
Correct.
board sitting in on each interview? Well, how are they gonna weigh in?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if we got a quorum now, I mean, that's the issue that we could.
Well, it was, we used a scoring sheet, and, once everybody scored how they felt about that particular interview, then you put put everything out on the table, and then you had
I mean, anything more than 2 members is gonna be a quorum.
Right. So would you do separate interviews, like 2 of us sit in at one
It
time?
was different different times during the day that
For
we had to do that.
each individuals,
Right.
yeah.
Jobs are different.
So they did, yeah, so it was,
Matter of fact, if you have one applicant here and one applicant there, we'd get up and go to this room, talk with that one, then we'd get up and go to the other room, talk
so
with the other
the
one.
entire board interviewed everybody and
Correct.
scored everybody that applied?
Right.
Or the one
I
that,
don't think the entire board did. I think it was like.
It was-
committee.
that's what I meant, I
And-
meant the committee.
But I've been challenged on this before with the committee thing, is that if we have more than 2 of us meeting, it's a quorum. I haven't got the legal opinion on it and you might want to talk
I'll run
to,
that to ground.
and just make sure that, that's how I've been operating, that we have more than 2 of us that's on a committee together, then it's a quorum. So I've been being more cautious than not.
I'll run that to ground.
But during the interviewing process, if we
There may be an
can't,
exception though, huh?
it may be an exception, I don't know, but that needs to be looked at by legal, Sandy.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Because I would like to have the whole board,
Right,
all 4 of us, sit to hear,
At one time.
applicants.
Right.
Or even have your staff kind of go through and screen and narrow it down to a handful of people.
A
And then,
double interview, where 2 interview them and then the other 2 review, the same questions.
right,
Or about taking it, and the other 2 members can be rejected.
yeah. I'm going to have to look into that.
Okay, I got it.
that's a suggestion
Run that
too.
to ground.
I mean, the second option was just going to recruit somebody, but I mean, that's,
Well, you don't want.
you're right, exactly.
I don't
So
think
that's
you want
why,
to do that.
that's why it's not even being really discussed. It's more of, I
Right.
think this is the solution.
I think Sandy's suggestion
Yeah.
would be the better way to do it.
Yeah, we just run the legalities to
So that you
ground.
get someone who's gonna fit into the port strategic plan and someone that's qualified, and you have your knowledge and the board members' knowledge and everyone,
Absolutely, absolutely. And this goes with my vision that, and again, if John Pennison were to stay here, that would be great.
Would be lovely.
Because John and I spoke, and I explained to John, and he readily agreed, that his expertise in operations, we were hitting the top of it. John knew the boats, the firemen knew the boats, and he was all over that. But John's main attribute was his organizational skills, his chief of staff duties, his keeping the ship running administratively afloat. And I told John, I said, the way I envision this job going is that as we operationally get larger and larger, I am going to have to bring on a chief of operations officer. And you're going to morph into what would be the chief of administration. So when you read the job description, it is more geared to someone, financial background, MBA, must have transportation background, but I'm looking at organizational, executive skills. All right. When this port gets full-fledged, there's no doubt in my mind I would pattern this after other ports that I've worked at or know about. There would be 3 deputy port director positions: chief of administration, chief of operations, and a chief procurement officer. So one is feeding the port with the procurement, one is taking that, what he feeds, and putting it in operation, and then one keeps it running smoothly. So,
Well, in the interim, I know John's job is critical. So send an email out to us, if you don't mind, to the board, to the
Yes.
committee and the rest of the board members, letting us know who's going to be performing those duties so we know who to go to if we have any
I
questions.
think that's very important that y'all understand that we have taken a very long look at all John's duties. We have divvied those up in the swim lane where they need to go. We have some checks and balances that, and that would be me, to oversee the entire process. But I think it's good that the board knows that even though there's a hole in the staff, we are covering it. And, 4 months, we'll fill it, but, we need to get this right.
Right.
In the book, Good to Great, if you ever read it, it's called Building Winning Organizations, and the whole theme is get the right people on the bus and get them in the right seat. So John Pennison was certainly the right guy on the bus, but if I left him in operations, he would grow out of the seat and be in the wrong seat. So get the right people on the bus, get them in the right seat. And that email that you asked that I send out, we're already putting that together.
All right, great.
Mr. Chairman.
Sounds good. Anyone have any questions about the salary? Any concerns about that? The only other issue is you wanted to introduce on the 12th of January. We don't have a port meeting that day.
We have a special meeting. Correct.
No.
Is that a statement or a question?
It's a recommendation?
No.
Would you like us to have a
It would be
special
the
meeting?
The first council meeting is going to be January 12th.
That's correct.
Right.
So we need to do a special
I propose
board
that we have a special meeting that we can introduce this.
Yeah, just do an agenda, put one, and just introductions.
Yes, it would keep us in this timeline.
And when do you want to have that?
The 12th of day, I mean, it's just
Okay, the same day,
immediately,
okay.
you know what, just do it immediately following. It doesn't matter.
We'll do it at 1 PM, and then the council can follow right after,
Okay.
like we normally do.
Yeah, either way.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Chairman?
I think that's all with that, unless anybody has any items, questions, or concerns on item A. Anybody from the audience have any questions or concerns? All right, we'll move to item B.
Okay.
Discussion of
No.
introduction of ordinances to amend port revenue budget to reflect successful obtainment of match monies for Port Security Grant Round 2015.
B, C, and D are great news stories. Obviously, we'll start with B. We appropriated $90,000 from our land fund for our match, and that dealt with some security equipment, other
Towers.
towers, et cetera. And lo and behold, the PSSC, that's the Lower Mississippi Portwide Strategic Security Council, was awarded state match money, and that our portion, that $90,000 was given to us for that. So that took care of our match. So what we have to do is we have to amend the budget to reflect that the $90,000 will be coming into us. So we'll receive it and versus we pay for it. So bottom line is we're getting the grant without having to pay the match.
Perfect.
Questions on that?
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman?
All right, so we have to amend that? Or are we just, what is that gonna be? Just an introduction next?
Right, introduce an
Amend the
ordinance.
budget to reflect that the $90,000.
To amend the
All right, can you
budget.
give it to me? I'll just do it. I'll introduce that again next
Put that on the
Thursday.
12th too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Well, it would just be listed, it wouldn't be listed on the agenda, it'll just,
An introduction.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm just telling him to get it to me. I don't write these things.
I know.
Candy?
Some of them, all of them I do, but not for the fourth.
Give him your deal.
Do you want? All right, any other questions on item B? Anybody from the audience? All right, item C.
Update on barge replacement and auction status of same.
Again, another great news story. We have received the new barge. It is here. We're performing some housekeeping items on it, i.e., we're doing the wiring, running water, fuel lines, putting the security gate on the gangway. So all those housekeeping items are being done. The old barge is really the sweet part of the story. We weren't sure how much we were going to get for in a lot of disrepair. So Donald Durr put it out on the bid, on the .gov,
GovDeals.com.
and we sat back and were pleasantly surprised that these bidders were bidding each other up pretty high. The winning bid was $62,500, and we were high-fiving each other when we got to 15. What happened this past week, the guy who won called us back and asked where was the spud barge. A paragraph ahead of y'all, I just found out what this was this morning, okay? But a spud barge is a barge that has two jacked-up legs on it where they can stabilize the barge. I know y'all live down here, so until I y'all something Alabama went into it this
I just wanted to know where the motor was at.
So, but the pictures that we sent out, it showed that they had spud emplacements, but the description very clearly did not say it was a spud barge. But we decided that we ought to err on the side of caution, and we realized that the spuds were 8 apiece. So we talked to the .gov folks, and we put it back on the market. We also talked to the two bidders and told them we're going to start the price out at $62.5 minus 16, which is $46.5. That'll be the starting price. So still a very sweet deal, but we just wanted to make sure that no one thought that this was a true spud barge. So we'll keep you apprised of that. We'll give it 2 to 3 days.
It'll be wrapped up on Thursday.
What's the size of the barge?
A 110 by 30. That's spud wells, gated spud wells. Like Sandy said, the picture clearly showed no mechanisms to pick these
Right.
things up. But we chose to put it back out there and let the two guys go back at it.
questions?
Anybody else have any questions, concerns, comments on item C? Ms. Marcotte, item D?
Discussions of purchase of parcel B-1.
Just for your perspective, the requirement by our option holder was for 1,200 acres, the Venture Global. The port owned property of roughly north of 600 acres. So we had to purchase parcel 1 and 3, which we are doing, and use a portion of 3 to provide Venture Global with their requirement. On the riverside of 3, there are 2, I call them postage stamp spots. They were launches. B1, which was abandoned, and B3, which is an ongoing entity. In this case, we're talking about B1. We had it appraised. We've got the money for it. We took the $400,000 from the unrestricted funds. So we have an ordinance to purchase the agreement, which was already introduced by the chairman, and the closing date is scheduled for 31 January. So we're inching towards the start line. This is a good news story.
I just have a question, and I know it's probably gonna come up. Who owns B1?
Now,
Did it start with the W?
Wheelhouse.
No. I was actually making a joke.
Okay.
I guess it did. I didn't know. It was the other guy. No joke.
Whose name we shall not be mentioned. Okay?
And
Any other questions?
the 400,000 is what we're purchasing it for? That was the appraised value?
And that's what we're.
That's there, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You shall find.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Lastly, I have one item that's not on the agenda.
Well, let's finish up this one first.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any other questions or comments about this purchase? I mean, we purchased more land, so we're gonna have some questions, I'm sure.
Okay.
But everybody knows the strategic vision is
Part of the business.
is to purchase all this land and
Get it leased down.
do what we're doing, so
Okay.
I have no issues. If nobody else has any issues, you had another comment?
Yeah, just a comment. The culvert work has been completed. We have given a call to Ken Dugai with the parish engineers, and it was pretty inclement weather here the last 48 hours, so Ken has related to Donald that he's probably going to get in there tomorrow to bless it, and I have let Venture Global know, and I will call them again once the parish has blessed it. So, another good news story.
I want to take the opportunity, if Mr. Terrio has any comments or anything. I didn't recognize you earlier, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But-
I'm getting used to it.
Can't wait to get
Hey,
to
back here, y'all in a chair in about a week, man, so,
Yeah.
right. No more blame.
You can go back to the other chair, huh?
Go back to the other side.
Yeah.
That Supreme Court judges, you want to hurry up and get in there before you leave?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes my brief. Basis.
All right, anybody have any comments or questions? All right, if not, item 4.
Approval of the minutes of the November 1st, 2016 Port Committee meeting. Councilmember Black?
Yes?
Councilmember Trufant Southend is absent. Councilmember Edgecombe?
Yes, ma'am.
And Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
I ask
And the
for,
minutes are approved, 3-0.
I ask for
3
a
with
motion.
0 with
What?
1 absent. 1 absent.
You good?
I'm getting there.
Do I have an offer to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Edgecombe,
I'll second.
Mr. Williams, seconds. Ms. Marcotte?
Councilmember Black?
Yes.
Councilmember Edgecombe?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
And Councilmember Trufant Southend is absent.
All right, the meeting is adjourned at, did you have anything else? You want to do your 0 thing again?
Thank Mike for.
Yeah, thank you, Michael Powell. Thank you, Mr. President, for letting Michael Powell do this for us, at the last minute notice. Thanks.
What was it?
Meeting is adjourned at 5:40.
You were gonna see it before me.